have some spinach, sorry. I just ate. I mean, I kind of washed some of my... No, I didn't brush my teeth, so just ate and I'm sorry. By the way, something about brushing teeth. Here in China, it's not super popular to take your toothbrush with you in your bag and carrying it about everywhere with you whenever you're gonna have lunch or dinner out home. You have to wash your teeth. In Mexico and Latin America, and I know that also America, they are super, hyper, cautious about teeth hygienic in the teeth, mouth hygienic. So they always want to have this super bright, white, pearl kind of teeth. So they're washing them always. And I do wash them 2 to 3 times, sometimes just 2, but yeah. And yeah, that's a big difference here in China. Actually, when I had a Chinese boyfriend 2 years ago, he was like, you should not brush your teeth that much because the enamel will like deteriorate and it's not very healthy. And I was like, how many times did you brush them? And I think he was just brushing them once a day, which was pretty much very little. Is that better? Oh, to find the perfect lighting and the perfect place without sounds in China is quite a challenge. I'm just trying as much as I can. I think that's better. Okay, so hello everyone out there. My name is Marcaribe from the city of Shenzhen, China. And it's been a while since I didn't put myself on the camera and record some talk from me to you, you know, kind of cushy, that kind of thing. Because I was pretty busy, as you've seen in my previous video. By the way, these stones are called opals, and I was selling these before. When I first moved to China, I was a half gemstone stone seller from Mexico, and that was my goal, to find some distributors who could find our wholesale items from Mexico, which were basically opals and some silver. And I had this one at home, and today I decided to put it because it's just sitting there, and instead it has to look good on someone like me now. So this is basically silver. You guys know that in Mexico we produce silver. If you don't know, well, welcome to know that. And also Shenzhen is wow. It's a very big industry for jewelry. If you didn't know that, I am very familiar with it because I was doing it as my prime business before. It was like 6 years from, it was already 7 years ago when I first came to China, and I was doing this for like 2 years. So I'm very familiar with this. And if some of you want to know why did I stop, it was because, I mean, seriously, it's hard to deal with Chinese suppliers, but it is harder to deal with Chinese buyers and not have your supply chain like for, how to say, my Mexican suppliers fail on production because then China was wanting to get like massive production as they kind of consume. And I was not able to give them what they wanted, so I would be stuck in the middle, and I was like, I have to change band. So I moved to Chinese band, and now I sell goods from China. But I'm not saying that it's not profitable or it's not good or anything. It's just that it's different, you know, like whenever you think about business in China, some people might not understand the numbers in the equation. So yeah, if you don't have your chains, your distribution channels, your suppliers, or whatever it is that is needed to supply the Chinese market, then you're gonna be there just like, oh, so I'm standing here and I cannot move forward, and then I'm just gonna be standing here forever, so that will not take me anywhere. I'm just gonna waste my time. So that's what happened. But yeah, I was very proud because I also got to, sorry, this video was not about business, but you know. Anyways, I mean, I got to have some distributors, and my jewels were selling in Beijing and Shenzhen and Guangzhou, so I was very happy about that. Anyways, today's video, I'm sorry, long introduction. Today's video is some kind of talk for you. I've outlined some points because I think I'm very well prepared and to be speaking here in front of the camera to you after I've lived this year, it's gonna be 10 years I came to China for the first time. The first time I came, it was for a visit to study a diploma from Mexico University about Asia, Japan, and Korea, socio-economic, historic studies. So from that then, like 10 years ago, I have been studying this culture. And just before that, I was living in Singapore for 2 years. So believe I have some knowledge from then to now. And you know what? Before I wouldn't do videos just about that. Like, oh, I feel like talking about this, but I wouldn't feel maybe prepared enough, or I wouldn't feel like confident enough. But now I do. I've been here so long and I've seen so much, and I have moved from the visitor who came to study as a foreigner. I mean, we came with our Mexico team and we just came to visit the whole China kind of experience, and that was the diploma was taught in Mexico, and it will culminate with a month in China, traveling and really experiencing what it was that we were taught. And that was 2007. 2008, when the Olympics were made in Beijing, which was about the explosion of China's enormous potential to the world, because after this, I believe that this was the very, very, how to say, ice crusher, like, wow, the world saw China, what it was happening with China, and how China was going to be foreseen in the next few years to be a big part of the, main economies around the world. And as Marco Polo said before, many thought that China was a sleeping dragon. I mean, China was there and very few things were known about China. And, people listen Chinese music, they knew Chinese food, Chinese do Tai Chi, Chinese have these strange characters. And we, as in Mexico, we learn like, oh, Chinese were the creators of the paper, of the creators of the, I don't know how to translate those words. Pólvora, pum, pum, pum. Power? Polvo, pólvora. Anyways, that powder that will explode. And many others. The printing, and that's how books came into life, into the world, into material themselves. And so all these things are super interesting, and maybe many people were not very aware of the economic superpower that was hidden in this nation until I saw this super spectacular show at 2008 Beijing Olympics opening, and people were just like, wow, like wow, like maybe the best show ever taken place anywhere. And I'm not gonna talk that any other opening shows were bad, but technologically speaking, this was really advanced for whatever it is that we all were expecting, because nobody really knew what was gonna be like. It was just like, oh, China is gonna take part of this and it's gonna be like the one making the opening, and we were all expecting what it was gonna happen because they have this bubble cube, By the way, at that time, I mean, years after that, I was living and studying in Beijing in the VLCU University. Some of you might be there studying at this moment, or might watch me and wanna move to study to China. Sorry, my grammatic is failing. Just bear with me. Sorry. Every day I speak Chinese mostly and Spanish, and now I'm trying to make myself into English. But yeah. Anyways, I was saying that after 2008, in 2009. I was living just nearby that cube, and every day at night I will open my window and I will see the beautiful arena that was where the Bird Stadium, and also the cube, the water cube, and it was all like, wow, at this big hotel. When I was living in Beijing, it wasn't that polluted, and all this, was not that harsh, like all these issues, health issues and air index. It was 2009. Anyways, let's go back a little bit. So I'm just trying to tell you that I'm not saying that I'm an expert, but hopefully one day I will be. Anyways, who can be an expert? Seriously, China is so big and it's so hard to say, like, if I am living in Shenzhen, I'm living one experience of China. If you're living in Beijing, you're living another very, very different experience from China. If you're living back somewhere around Chengdu, it's just a whole different experience because it's so calm and the people, it's a vacational kind of city. So there are so many beautiful 5-star hotels all around, which make it seem so luxurious. But at the same time, the city is not rushing like in Shenzhen is, because we do electronic circuits and components which need to be like at 6 p.m. they make the cutoff, and this also affect the stocks, and it's just a different story. Anyways, too much of speaking here, but I just wanted to talk to you, so I hope you're enjoying the talk! Okay, I'm sorry for that. Let's go back to the point. I'm too excited. I ate too much vegetables. So, 2007, I came for the first time with my Mexican group to culminate what was going to be my diploma of China, Japan, and Korea socio-economic historic studies, something like that. So we will study that for 6 months in Mexico, and then I will come here and I will take a look around all the story and, you know. Anyways, I basically entered this diploma because there was a trip and I really wanted to go to China because I was living in Singapore before and I was very curious. So that is the first time I came to China in 2007. And to my surprise, it was... I wasn't having a very, how to say, many people come to China and they're super surprised about the technology and everything. Yes, I was surprised, but after living in Singapore, I mean, I was not that biased about how was the place really like. So from a very young age, I came in touch with this culture and this part of the world, which is developing to a super fast pace. I moved to Singapore when I was 17, so I've been living almost half of my life in Asia. I born in Mexico, I live in Mexico, but I've been living also other places, so I guess my perspective is broader to many people that just come to China and maybe haven't been living somewhere else, or that they come just now in recent years and they think China is this and that. But I've been living here for 9 years, and then I've seen the overall development of it, including which I am in the newest city, 36 years old of constitution, which is Shenzhen. I am 30, just turned 30, so me and this city are almost the age. Anyways, just so many spills of information here and there, and there's not a But anyways, I think it's nice to have a talk like this from time to time, so you will know more about me and you will maybe trust me more on whatever it is that I'm saying from my eyes, which have been experiencing so much of this country through all these years. So 2007 came with that Mexican group. I went back and I was more in love with the China because I was like, wow, we went to Hangzhou and we went to karaokes and I was dancing at tables. I remember La Vida Loca, dancing with my friends, and I didn't drink, but I was very crazy at that time, and people were, all our Mexican team was like enjoying life in China, and Chinese were like elevating us like, wow, foreigners, because 10 years ago, of course, there were many less of us, especially this kind of a bunch of people just entering a club with this, you know, Latin flavor and making the people dance and you know, so people were like, wow, and even giving us alcohol bottles and all kind of treats for us to not leave the bar because we were the sensation. And then I came back to hotel that night, and I remember I was thinking to myself, if I will just move here, I can just live on having fun out there because people will treat me and maybe people will offer a job. Of course, not like as a dancer, but like I saw opportunity much everywhere, of entertaining, of maybe translation, this and that. I don't know, there were so many things. And everybody was so curious about foreigners. We went to Suzhou, Hangzhou, Beijing, Nanjing, Hong Kong. I didn't experience Shenzhen at that time. Shenzhen was, I think, quite in its development stage. I don't know. It was not even much popular back then. I think we went to Guangzhou and a few other cities, which, I'm sorry, I don't remember very much. Shanghai. Anyways, we were traveling. It was a road trip. It was in a bus. The full 30 group of Mexican crossing all China from north. We arrived to south or otherwise. I don't know. But anyways, we crossed the whole country from up to Beijing to Hong Kong. And we were stopping by, of course, in few cities and then just riding the bus, which make it very, very interesting for me to see how was like the countryside. At that time, I feel I feel such a pity that I didn't have a camera to record. I mean, I did have, and I have some videos when I first climbed the Great Wall, and it was raining with all this Mexican group, and we were like, we arrived to the top, and I started screaming, and I was like with a small top, and you know, I was just a crazy girl. I was 20 at that time, 10 years before, and there were beautiful moments everywhere in the street. Everybody see me like, oh, you're so beautiful, like do like this. I was like, wow, I feel like a superstar, because this was not the case in Singapore. By no means I was told that I was beautiful in the streets, or I was like treated specially. And nobody will see you. Like, Singapore is just an economy that is just fast-paced, and like, you're a foreigner, it's just another one, because there are so many. As well as back in Mexico, I mean, I was not considered like, wow, super beautiful. I was just like, I don't think I was even that beautiful. Of course, there were the group of girls that are the super popular girls from the class, and I was not near close to that kind of standard, so I was just a girl. So I came to China. I was like, oh, I feel pretty here, and then there are all these chances coming out of like nowhere. You will just go to a restaurant and you will be treated so good because you are a foreigner, and you could go to so many different hotels and they will treat you like a queen. So yeah, basically that was what happened in 2007. And then I went back to Mexico and I kept studying Chinese. Some of you asked me how I learned Chinese. Well, I've learned through the years, and I was not a very good student, to be honest. When I was in Mexico, I was very diligent, but when I arrived to China, school for me was a little bit, not to say a little bit, it was very monotonous and boring. And I wanted to come to China, not because of the language, I'm going to say. I wanted to come to revive, to re-experience what I've experienced in 2007, 10 years ago, anniversary. Thanks to the memories. And I just came with that idea of like making a life in China, like not like a superstar, I'm saying, but like I just saw chances all around which weren't possible in Mexico. For instance, I would not go back to Mexico and stand in a bar, in the bar, like literally stand up and dance there, because it's just gonna be like vulgar. And I'm not saying that now in China it's not, perhaps it is, but at that time it was fun and it was like innocent. We were all a group of classmates, let's say. They were all kind of ages. We were not all young, from 20 to 50 years of people in our group. So I just saw that it was very safe as well. We were walking all around, and we seemed to kind of go this place and that place, and we could wear any kind of outfit, and it was not gonna be as threatened as it is in Mexico, you know. Anyways, I'm also comparing to that country because it's the country which I was born and I know more about it. So anyways, after that I went back, as I said, and I kept my university studies. I was studying already a baccalaureate. What I study in university, I study entrepreneurship, creation and development of business. which I've realized I feel so good because, I mean, so many people study things which they will not kind of develop in their lives, a career that will not prosper in the future. I mean, that they will not find a chance or that they end up not liking whatever, but I think I did choose right. And after that, many messages arriving. I kept studying Chinese language. This video was not going to be about all this story, but since I'm talking now, I'm just gonna keep talking about the story and the subject that I was going to speak today. I think I'm gonna I'm gonna leave it for the next video. So after I'm supposing it's interesting to you. I went back and I kept studying Chinese. So I studied 2 years of Chinese in Mexico, 2 years, which was 2 semesters. The basics and the second and the third and the fourth, but the semesters were 4 months really, not like 6. And every day was 1 hour for 4 days a week. So it would be like almost like 16 hours? No, sorry. 16 hours a month. Anyways, I could cut some words and I could write some words and I could of course speak, but not correctly. And I found out that until after a year, which I decided to drop out of my uni in Mexico to come to pursue the China dream, which I've made in my head myself. Nobody told me that China was better or that China was this, but since I was from a very young age researching about China, and I was thinking, 10 years ago everybody spoke about China and how was the development gonna be there and this and that, and now I just have experienced it for myself in the last 10 years of my life here, and I think it was the best decision I've taken. I dropped out of my school, which I really, really loved, the Tec de Monterrey in Guadalajara, and I came here. And 2009. This is 2009. Why I skipped 2008? I'm sorry. Okay, let's speak about 2008. I'm sorry, you must be so confused now, and I don't want to repeat the whole video. I haven't. Okay, spoke about 2008. 2008 is the Olympics, and I came again to study the summer course, language course. So I stayed in China for 1 month. 1 month, 1 whole month, just 1 month. And I'm gonna be honest, I was not interested in the language after 3 days of like sitting there in the school, and I just kept going out. I was a naughty girl, and I mean naughty, I was not drinking or smoking like that. I've been always super healthy. I was walking Beijing. I'll tell you one thing, if you ever know Beijing, I'm walking from the Beijing Financial Economics University to Guangfujing, and that was about 2 hours of walk or 3 of go and 2 hours of walk or 3 of come back, and it was a long way, but I love it because I was just experiencing everything about China. But at that time it was a pity that I didn't have a camera on my phone or a camera. I mean, I did have one, but I didn't thought about making YouTube videos. That's why I have to tell you everything now. So I would walk a lot, and of course I was in a good shape, and I think at that time I had a hair like until the waist, so I was kind of looking beautiful, and everybody was like, yeah, you know, and I felt like, ooh, I'm so flattered in China, I was so welcome, so I think this is the country to be. And after that summer study finish, well, before that, I'm gonna tell you a little bit of the story. I found a Chinese guy. Oh, this is another story where I'm talking too much and the video is super long. I don't know if you're gonna stay to watch it all. I hope you do, because if not, it's gonna be a shame just speaking to myself. Anyways, there was a time in which I was walking all this long, and in a supermarket called Parksons, I don't know if it's still there. I don't remember quite what was the station, the metro station. But I saw a guy, and I'm all excited and happy to talk about it after 10 years, you know. And he was hot, to my surprise, because I've been in China the 2 times that I didn't really, I mean, I felt in love with the energy and opportunities of the place, but not with any guy in particular. And I was, at that time, I was such a hard studying girl, so I was not interested in boyfriends. I wanted to just business and study. So let me see if I... Anyways, I saw him and I was like, oh, and I really wanted to talk to him, really. Look at me now after 10 years, the glow in my face. Anyways, so I had a little backpack and I was all like sporty and he was kind of more classy, and I was like, how would I talk to him? He was like 1.92 meters. So I just took myself out of Park Sun's supermarket there in China, in Beijing. And I don't know, I just stand there. I was standing there and his mother was paying the check, the bill. And he was coming out with the bags. And he approached me. You see how good opportunity in China. I don't know if in Mexico how it will work, but here I mean it was easier to be seen at that time. Now it's not at all easy, or maybe I've changed. Of course, I was 10 years younger, and people were like long hair. Anyways, so he was like, "Hello, do you speak English?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then he said like, "Oh, would you mind passing me your contact?" And I was like, "Wow, he's too fast." But of course I understood because his mother was coming. His mother was just down paying like the check of the supermarket purchases, and I was like, oh, he wanted to just get my number and maybe keep in touch in the future. And I was like, of course. I was like, yeah, sure. Of course, at that time there were no digital mobiles. I don't think the iPhone was out. It was 2008. Or if it was out, I didn't have it, okay? I was just owning a digital, like a, how to say? A keyboard kind of phone. So there was no WeChat or WhatsApp, and the only thing we had was like SMS and numbers, yeah, calls. It was a nice time, yeah, wasn't it? Anyways, so I gave him my number, and I just waited for, like, I was so excited, you cannot imagine. I was like, wow, the hottest guy I've seen in China. And I got him. I mean, I got him in a way that I got his attention, yeah? Because I wanted to get his attention. If I could live these moments, I would live them. It was some of the best moments in China, where from the first time. So that's what I'm saying. Some people come, they newcomers, they are surprised by everything. So enjoy the ride, because this won't last very long. I'm not saying that I don't like China now, but the fresh feeling, it's mostly gone, and you end up getting used to these high-tech things, or you don't go out that much to places like when I was first here for the first month. I would travel everywhere, like, I mean, to all the districts, to everywhere I wanted to discover. But after, it's just like, just a foreigner that has been here long enough will understand me, or if you may be a foreigner that have been long enough in another country, you will understand. It's the same thing. You just get to your routine. That's what I'm saying. Anyways, so after he's like, okay, goodbye, and then I was like, you know, just thinking, oh, hope he calls me. And then I was just carrying my little bag and going away from that supermarket, and he passed driving his car. At that time, 2008, he was driving this. Beijing was full of them. Audi, you know, this black big Audi car, which was like super elegant. And I was like, oh. And he just passed by and he's like, hey, bye-bye. And I'm like, ah. You know, I melt. Because I was living in the dorm university, and most of the students, of course, didn't have a car. And he seemed quite young. So I was like, wow, he has a big car. So maybe he's from other kind of position, which I didn't expect it. Anyways, what happened was that I kept living that summer by myself, and he kind of contacted me a few times, but I was a little bit lazy to go out with him. Can you imagine? I was like, I'm just enjoying. And one day I was a little bit bored but out of boredom. I was alone and still was 1 week left to go Mexico, and I was like, do you want to go to the cinema with me? 30 minutes. Do you want to ask a video? And then he said, yeah, sure, but I'm gonna take you for dinner first. And I was like, oh, because at that time I was a vegetarian, but I think I ate fish, so maybe I was a pescatarian. I don't remember really if I was eating fish or I didn't anymore. Anyways, I was like, yeah, but I like vegetables, so I was just like, please do not take me to those super meaty places. So he took me. Okay, so this is what happened. So I prepared myself super beautifully, and I was having long hair, very long hair, wavy hair, and I was in a very, very good shape because I was walking at least 50 kilometers a day in Beijing. So he was like, wow. So I prepared, and then he said, like, I'm gonna pick you up in the door at this time. I was like, yeah, he's gonna pick me up, I'm gonna have a date. And I was so excited. So I placed myself super beautifully to this Chinese guy, and it was the only ever time I was this excited in this past 10 years in China about going out with someone. Just listen clearly, because so many of you are so interested about this subject. Of course, maybe it has to do with that now I understand more about Chinese people, and that it's difficult to make a very, very deep click with them in terms of culture, etc. I mean, especially with going out and eating food I like, so on and so forth. So he came in his majestic car, and he was like, I'm here, down. And I'm like, yeah! So I go down, and he's waiting there in his car, like, yeah! And he opens the door and everything. He was such a gentleman. That was what got my heart. Such a gentleman. And then we were in the car, and surprise! So he was taking me to the movies because I wanted to go to cinema, just because I was poor. I was like, let's go to movies. But he took me to the car movies, like you see in the literally movies. It was a car cinema. So I was like, wow, this place is just fantastic! Yeah, you cannot imagine. Let's just imagine, like 10 years ago, a small girl in a big place, in a big big developing country, which is China, in the capital of it, 2008. Just when the Olympics were going to be, just at that time, because I left 1 week. I left 1 week before the Olympics, so all Beijing was getting really, really pretty, and I had nothing to lose, nothing to win. I was just living the life, not like now. Like, I depend on myself, onto my business, on my website, on my YouTube. I have clients. It's just, I mean, I was free. And I'm not saying that I'm not free. I'm free in a different kind of aspect of my life, maybe. But, the old good times, like people say. Nothing much mattered. And of course, I was not very fluent in Chinese. I was like, oh, why did I study? Because I didn't study much, to be honest. I lost a lot of time just discovering places. So we arrived to that beautiful car cinema, and all the others were cars they're parking with their, like, couples, Oh my god, I'm just getting excited to revive the moment. Oh, it's too exciting. I haven't talked about this in 10 years. Can you imagine? So look, I'm already blush. Just so you know my secret. So, I mean, if I could take back time, I will take it back, because, as I said, it has been one of the best parts of my China experience. Anyways, so we were in the car, and then he's like, hold on, darling, and I'm like, what? And he goes back to the trunk, and he brings this beautiful bucket of drinks, because he had prepared drinks and everything. Like, his car was so big, and I was like, wow. And his car also, you could manage to do the seats, like, in a comfortable position, and you could watch the movie. But the movie was too long, and he was too interested, because he's a very cultivated Chinese, I would say. It was called Three Kingdoms. I think some of you might know this movie or book about the three different, periods of China. So it was too long to keep up, and I was like, I didn't understand, because if you don't have a backup, a background, it's hard to keep up. Anyways, so we start talking, and I think he kissed me on the car. Yeah! I don't know. I'm not very sure, but I think we were speaking and we were staring at each other, and like my first Chinese kiss. And then I went back and I told my mother, yes, I kissed the guy, and he tasted like Chinese food. I know some of you might think like it's funny, or some of you might relate to this, because we all have one smell and one taste, I believe. Of course, it's not like, oh, I taste like a Mexican food, but people eat things, and you know, the smell, the garlic, the usual things. It's just like Indian people or Mexican people, or, you know. Of course, it was not like, I'm eating the guy, and no. It was just one kiss, okay? So don't get too excited. Because he was very, very, very gentleman. And then after that kiss and that movie cinema, I was just... And went back home. He took me back. He was like, where do you want to go? I said, oh, now it's late. Maybe let's go back. So we were riding in the empty streets of Beijing, and it was around 1 a.m. And I had nothing to go back to. Like, I had no school left because I was already skipping the course. So, sorry, this is not very good to say. But, I mean, I had no responsibility of like, I have to work tomorrow, I have a business, or this or that. You know, I was just a girl sleeping in a dorm. So I said, okay, let's go for a while, just going around. And we will go smoothly in the streets of Beijing. And I will just like do this and his head, you know, and he will be like driving and he will give me his hand. And he was so gentleman, and we will be listening to Ason Chan's. We will be listening to some songs, Chinese songs in the way. I remember this Shenian was super popular. Wow! This song is called 10 Years, and it's precisely, well, it's not precisely, next year it's gonna be 10 years that I met him, but yeah. It's 10 years that I came to China. Anyways, so that was what happened. So long, this video. And I went back to the door and I called my mom. Of course, I arrived home. I arrived to my dorm. Nothing else much happened, but we were just rambling around the car in the whole Beijing like two lovers. We didn't speak anything, you know, we just enjoyed. I mean, the songs and the scenery, and he was just driving. So when I arrived to the door, after like an hour, I called mother and I said, I found the man of my life. And he was like, what? I was like, oh my god, I met this Chinese. He's so handsome. He's so tall. He's so gentleman. He's so educated. He's different. But in one thing, he was not different. I'm sorry to tell if you are gonna be, you know, offended. Just don't feel like that, because it's just a cultural thing. And when we arrived to the table and he ordered everything, and the restaurant was super-star, 5-star restaurant. So he was so elegant. He took me to the best places, like things that I've never ever experienced in Mexico. And I was like, wow, this kind of category, kind of dates, I cannot get in Mexico. I mean, it's not that I cannot, but it's not that easy. You don't find a guy in Mexico in the supermarket that will take your phone and will take you to all these beautiful, I mean, you know. Anyways, some of you might be thinking, oh, you are just interested in this and that. Come on, I was just a 20-year-old, I came to China, and I was just not either having fun or not interested in money or not interested in... I was just there, present on the moment, living the situation. That was it. So, I told my mother about this, and she was so surprised. And then he was a little bit busy, I believe, because he was working. I found out that his family was working for the government. That's why he was so, you know, in a very well ranking position. And he was studying abroad in Edinburgh. So his English was much, much better than mine even at that time. He was like, spoke so good. Hello, how are you? You know, this kind of English. Like, so nice. Oh, and he made a letter for me. Oh, I'm remembering all this, and I just become so much nostalgic. Anyways, so I had 1 week left in China, in Beijing, before going back to Mexico, and we went out again to karaoke with his friends. and he sang for me, and I was like, yeah, melting. And we went also to, I forgot all the dates if we had many, but we went out, I believe, 3 times. And he told me, don't go back. The Olympics are coming. I have tickets for both of us in the best places, like VIP sittings. And I was like, I was a very responsible person, like I've always been. I mean, that I was not taking the course seriously. It wasn't that I'm not responsible. My interests were different. But I was not comfortable with the fact of staying more time in China and skipping the first beginning of my semester in Mexico. I mean, it was gonna start, and if I would stay for the Olympics, I will just mess up my studies in Mexico. I was doing my bachelor's, and I was already, how to say, sophomore, junior, freshman. I mean, I was almost going to the 3rd year, or finishing the 2nd, I believe. Something like that. So I was like, oh, this proposal is very beautiful, but I'm sorry. First things first, and first is my school and my studies and my own plan. I mean, I had a holiday here. I had a month, and it's a pity that we didn't went out before, although we met earlier, but we didn't have the chance because I was denying the dates. However, he was so nice, and he was like, what do you need? Do you need extension of visa? I can do for you that. Do you need? I was like, no, it's not what I need or don't need. It's that I need to go back. So he was in a disposition of making all things happen for me to stay with him in China, in Beijing, and go to see the Olympics. Oh, I should have gone, Caribe! You silly. And then I didn't. I ended up watching the opening from my home, and we were both, at that time there was no chat, so we will not SMS, we will send mails, and I still have them. If you want them, I can read them to you. And so I didn't accept his proposal, and I decided to go back. When I coming to my studies, I was very serious my whole life. I will never, for a boy or an idea or something, just out of the blue, go away from my plan, which I felt which I've culminated with proud, and I've graduated from Champion University at the end of the day. Anyways, so the last day before going to Mexico, he was like, oh, let's just spend the day together. And I was like, okay. So he went to university, and all my friends in the university were saying goodbye to me because I wouldn't stay in that dorm, because I was leaving the next like 3 a.m. in the morning or 4 a.m. So I was not going to even spend the night anywhere. And I took my luggage, and all my friends, invite us to your wedding. I was like, yeah, bye-bye. You know, I was just thinking I'm going with a prince. Literally, like if his horse was the car, and I was being saved to take him to a castle or something like that. But of course not. I was going back to Mexico, and he offered me to just go around Beijing and spend the last night together. And my friend said like, well, I mean, I felt like I was the luckiest girl in that dorm. The dorm of Beijing Financial and Economic University, CUFE. Cultural, no. Anyways, that university in Beijing. So we left, and we went to the last night with his friends for a karaoke. And then we were going around, and then he said like, I want to show you how is the view of the place of my brother. And I was like, okay, but don't get too excited. There will be no passion or not anything else more than a kiss that happened, because nothing else happened. If you are wondering, or if you're gonna comment, just save your time, okay? So we went to that place. And at that moment, I was really astonished. I was like, wow. And he had an apartment in the Summer Palace kind of area. So you will take a look, and you could see the whole Summer Palace lake and some of its park. I mean, some of the Summer Palace, because of course you could not see all. I was very high, and the apartment was just wow. The ceiling was so high, and of course it was a super VIP. And he's like, "Look, maybe you can live with me here in this kind of apartment." That apartment was of his brother, but he said he could buy another one, and we will be there. And I was like, "Wow, the story sounds so beautiful," and everything seems like so, kind of a fairy tale story, because he was a gentleman, not because of other things that some people might be trying to think. Okay? And that night we were just talking, and I slept a little bit, maybe like an hour before just going to the airport. But he was like, "I'm a gentleman and I'm gonna keep my promise, and I want to see you again. I want you come back to China," like this, like that. So he took me to airport, and yeah, we have our tears falling down our faces. But it was my decision, because if I wouldn't have gone, maybe it could have continued. So I went back to Mexico, and we kept writing emails, and he wrote how bad he felt without me, because he... Oh, I remember that when it was the morning. Now I'm just remembering little bits and pieces of information. Yeah! And this video is way too long. Anyways, I don't care anymore, just for my information, this video. Because I didn't spoke of this in all these years. So there was a big window of the wall kind of window, which gives view to the Summer Palace. And then I was standing, and I was like, wow, waking up to this view every day will just be astonishing. And he took a picture of me there, like, lying, in the window. And he said, like, "Oh, every time I open that window in the morning, I wish you were here sitting like that day." And I was like, yeah. And we wrote some emails back and forth for like 3 or 4 months, not 3 months. And I took the decision of coming to China for good, like to quit my school. But not because of him, because of the many reasons. Like, I was really strongly attracted to China. And I've been studying already 2 years of Chinese, and I thought, like, okay, I can make it. I can just go and study a little bit more of Chinese and just enroll in a university and try to do whatever it is that I need to do to graduate from a university there. I'm going to tell you why. Because I was studying entrepreneurship, or creation of and development of businesses in Mexico. And my project was to do a company in China. Already we were in the second year of university, and we had to graduate with a company, and that was 2 more years left. And at that point, I knew that I couldn't make it in Mexico, because nobody knew about how it was going to be a business like in China, and I had my idea so strong in my brain. And whenever we had the project's exposition, my idea was in China, and everything that I was developing was in China. So the requirement to graduate from that university was to have a company. I was like, I don't want to have a company in Mexico, I just want to have a company in China. So for this and many other reasons, which I've explained before, that's why I decided to leave my university in Mexico, which I love it. And if I have a chance to again make a decision of studying, I will choose to study that entrepreneurial major, because in China I was not satisfied, and I would not, if I had to study again in China, I think it would be a pain for me to pass those 4 years. It was monotonous, not dynamic, nothing like Mexico. Mexico university degree was just like The Apprentice or something like that. We make real teams and real money in our classroom. It was just like a really entrepreneurial top class course. So I left the university and I came here, and I was like, hello, I'm just gonna go there. And he didn't reply anymore after some mails. So I came to China after the summer that I left him in 2008. I came the January of 2009. So it was just 6 months after, and he wouldn't talk to me. And he was, of course, going out with someone else. And my heart felt pain. But I didn't come just for him. So I was I mean, it's nice that everything was like that, because of course maybe him was 20% of my decision, but not exactly him. The fact that I could meet someone and I could make that kind of connection, and that I will enjoy also with the China people, and not like, oh, the Chinese are so different, like many foreigners come here and they can never really relate or make some social connections, and they always think like we are foreigners and this is another land. So my experience was different. And I thought like if I met him, I could maybe meet other people like him. And it was not also coming to China to chase anyone. Of course, I had to take it seriously. Come on, I was already 2 years ahead of a bachelor's degree in Mexico. So of course it was a very serious decision. It was business based. Never about guys. I've been almost without going. Not been on a date almost in 1 year and a half. So, anyways, that is not the story. The story was like he stopped talking to me, and I started university. I went to Beijing, and I was amazed because the only time I went to Beijing before was in summer, and it was beautiful, and it was flowery, and it was sunny. And I came, and there were no flowers, there were no trees. I mean, the leaves were gone. It was so gray, and it was so cold. And he was not there, and university life was different, and I was a little bit afraid of that decision, but I didn't want to go back because I had closed the chapter in Mexico University, and to come back, and I was just a mess because I didn't end up doing the exams of the past semester, so I was like gonna be behind. It was a little bit scary, and I was trembling, and I was like, what should I do? I'm here now. This is not like the summer, good time, enjoying. It's just hard, it's cold, and they made me the text of positioning, and I was going to be placed in level 0. So this meant like the 2 years which I've been studying Chinese in Mexico were almost not gone from my personal assistance, but yes, for my degree that I wanted to purchase. So that meant like I had to start from 0, learning Chinese. And after 1 year, I could enroll into a major. And that felt for me hard, because after these 2 years of being left behind because of the university I left, and before I had other 2 years because of other things, and because I've been in Singapore, then I had to do another year of just Chinese, and then I could enroll. But I had not much choices left, and I just did what I had to do. So that happened. And then you can imagine how annoying it would be. Like, you have already studied at least 2 years in Mexico, 4 semesters, of what is ni hao, what is how much, I am beautiful, you are handsome. To go again into level 0 and to start like pingo and all these things, and it was for me just too much, too tedious, too monotonous, too boring, and I didn't enjoy the school. And of course it was nice to have like a review and to learn it from good, because the Chinese teacher, I had a Chinese teacher also in Mexico, but it was different to be living the Chinese experience because we could practice the words correctly, not like there in Mexico we pronounce maybe incorrect and there was no one else to practice after class, right? So I'm myself tired of this. It's gonna close soon. So this is what happened. After 2009 I came and I started BLCU. I enrolled for the major of business in China, or Chinese language and business, and I didn't complete it because I was sick. Something got me sick. I think some food, some water, I don't know. I was really sick of one thing called Shigella. So I had to back to Mexico for half a year, after 1 year and a half of being studying in Beijing, and it was not very pleasant to be in Beijing. I didn't enjoy as much as previous summers. It was not what I expected in the case of being a student, living in a dorm, a small dorm, sharing the dorm with somebody else that is just fully there the whole time, and you cannot have your space, and you have a lot of homeworks, and you live in that district. It's hard to just go to the district which I used to visit and meet some other kind of business people. So it was just a student life, and after I stopped my studies because I went back to Mexico, I was very sick. And then I decided that I wanted to continue and finish for good my studies in China, because I didn't have a major after like 6 years, no, like 4 years of studying, and I was like, it's enough. So I researched it, and somebody told me Shenzhen, it's nice. Shenzhen is a new city, Shenzhen is developing. And I was like, but not many people knew about Shenzhen. That was in 2010, when I decided to, after 6 months, just resting and recovering in Mexico, I will come to Shenzhen to pursue the major of golf management, which I wanted to. But I couldn't, because those 2 years that I was in Beijing wouldn't be revalidated. Like, they wouldn't credit me those 2 years. And I had to start from zero if I wanted to do that major. And I was like, it's enough. I'm just going to finish when I'm 30, all these studies. So it's just, let's just do what is possible. What can I do with these 2 years? I'm just going to enroll in something, and that's it. So I end up enrolling in that business Chinese language course for foreigners. And they credit me some, and some didn't. So however it was, I came to Shenzhen University in 2010, and I graduated in 2014. So I was 4 years there in that university. Long time! Yeah, because I was 2 years before, in Beijing 1 year and a half, and in Mexico 2 years, and in other places which I'm not going to tell now, another 6 months. So it was a long story. So basically, I graduated, and I stayed in Shenzhen until now, 2017. It's been 3 years since I've been doing my own business after graduation, and it's been a long journey, and I've learned a lot of things. And not just learn, everybody's like, oh, I've learned so much. Of course, you learn every day. Even if you stay at home and you just watch the sky, you will learn something. But what I try to tell is that I've seen with my own eyes the evolution from 10 years ago, the China of 10 years ago, to the China of now. And I'm not just being in one place the whole time. I've been in various cities. I've moved along from being just a tourist to a student, summer course student, to a fully bachelor's degree major student in Beijing, and then in Shenzhen, which is the city that is growing at its fastest. And then graduating from there and becoming an entrepreneur of the fastest growing city perhaps in the world, which is Shenzhen. And this is me now, and this is what has been happening, of course, in just a few words, and the love story was the main. But, I mean, this love story and all these main issues were the ones that pivoted me to come towards this place. So here I am after 10 years, and the Chinese is married, for your information, and he has a baby and a wife. And they always travel, because I've seen him on Instagram, and he follows me on Instagram for some kind of reason. But, of course, I'm done over him. I was just so offended. Like, I couldn't bear the idea that somebody will come from his country or here to cross the whole world to your country, and you wouldn't even say hello. Do you need something? Like, I like someone else, I'm with someone else, but I can still provide you some support because you are new and you are just 20 years old in China, and your home is just miles and miles away, literally at the other side of the world. But he wasn't kind with me. He didn't ever contacted me again. I just knew that he saw my Instagram because one day he was following me, and then I was like, what? And I saw his pictures about his wife and his child, and I saw that he wasn't very handsome as I was thinking, so I'm not interested in him anymore. And happy to be who I am now, and happy to make that decision when it was made, and to have gone through all that I have gone, which I can be talking about in the future, more about business-wise as well as student aspect, and so on and so forth. I've made just 1 hour of video. I hope you watch until then. If you watch, please give a like, yeah! Thumbs up, and just comment. What is that you liked most about this video? And if you stay until then, please just comment. Really, really, you have to comment. I stayed until the end mark because of this. Which reason made you stay until the end? If you did. From China with Love, this is my baby. From Shenzhen at the moment.